Bonjour, ciao, hola, and indeed welcome to another episode of Indiescovery, Rock, Paper, Shotgun's indie game podcast. This week we're celebrating the biggest event in the gaming calendar, theming our episode around the latest release in Nintendo's long-running The Legend... No, wait... Sorry, hold on. For a second there, I forgot I was hosting a podcast that laughs in the face of current trends. Who cares about Zelda? This episode is all about Eurovision. Embrace the chaos, reject the flow of the river, and carve your own canal. Here, borrow my canoe. My name, Liam Richardson, and I'm joined as ever by my wonderful co-hosts, Reviews Wrangler Rachel.
Hello.
And Guides Getter Rebecca.
Hello, Guides Getter. That's new. That's a new one.
That is new. Does it work? Is that anything?
Could be
Yes.
something.
How are we all doing?
Oh, not bad, thank you.
Amazing. It's Eurovision
Yeah.
week. I'm living my best life.
Well, you've been living your best life for a while, and we haven't even spoke about this off air. You were in America last week.
Yes, I was. I went to Disney World Orlando, which was overwhelming, overstimulating, but still a lot of fun.
You sent us a picture of you wearing a goofy hat, a goofy t-shirt, and drinking what looked like a delicious drink in the sun. You looked like you were living your actual best life in that moment.
Yeah, I had transformed myself slowly. Like, I feel like at Disney World, you like arrive the first day and you're like in like normal clothes. And then slowly over the course of the days, I stayed there for like a week, you just gain more shit to put on your body, whether that's hats, t-shirt, pins, and just like at the end of like on the Friday, I was just covered in like goofy nonsense.
I love it. What is
the
it
hat
about
was great.
Goofy? What is the appeal of Goofy?
For me personally,
Yeah.
or just a wider appeal of Goofy. Well, see, I wasn't really into Goofy when I was younger, but then I played a small game called Kingdom Hearts, which got me obsessed with Goofy to the point where I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And then I was like, you know what? I literally am Goofy. But then as I became older and more bitter, I soon realised that I'm actually a Donald, which kind of is a bit of a rude wake-up call. But I still do like Goofy the most. He's just great.
Goofy is your aspirational character.
Yes,
Yeah.
I want to become Goofy, even though I'm legit a Donald. For sure. Aries energy all the way. But like, and then... Okay, this is what they did to my boy, though. He was wonderful, charming, a light, a beacon of hope in Kingdom Hearts. And then Disney's Dreamlight Valley came out, and they made him a monster, an actual monster. And I played that game, and I was like, Goofy's one of the first characters you can meet. This is going to be great. And he's horrific. He's honestly awful, and I hate that game now.
You said it's the way he walks, right? Because obviously we've had this conversation before. It's the way he walks that bothers you about him, right?
It's the way he runs, Liam. He runs at you, and his arms flailing, like his hands wide,
no.
gaping. He's honestly awful. Honestly awful.
I don't know why I've not played Dreamlight Valley. I was picturing him doing like the Naruto run, which whenever you mention this, I understand now. I don't know if it's better or worse now that I understand.
Yeah, he should have. He could have just done a cute little like a saunter or a nice little jog, but no, they made him, I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before, but like almost crouch on the floor on all fours. He's like that close to the floor when he runs.
Oh my
His
God.
lanky body curling in a really like unsettling way. And then you'll just be fishing and you'll be looking, you'll be like casually looking around and you'll just see, he's very tall as well. This giant like creature like running at you, and it's honestly terrifying, and I can't believe they did that to him.
Damn,
I can't believe they did that to him.
If I had known that Dreamlight Valley was a horror game, I would have played it by now.
Babes, you'd love it. He's
I'm
honestly
sure I would. It sounds terrifying.
Yeah, so they basically ruined him.
What an evocative description. His lanky body curling. That's beautiful.
Yeah, this was-
What a poet of cursed iconography.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we went to this place, even though
Yeah, me too.
you seem upset about it. So I don't know if we should keep you here too much longer.
I close my eyes and I can see him running at me. And I hate it. In Kingdom Hearts, he's honestly such a sweetheart. I gotta stop talking about it, but he's such a sweetheart in Kingdom Hearts. Like, he brings Sora, Goofy, and Donald together. Like, he is the gel. And in Dreamlight Valley, he's just honestly, yeah, I'm not over it. So yeah, Disney was fun.
Yeah, you still love
Yeah,
Goofy.
wow.
And that's the important thing. It's not
I do.
destroyed your love for the character, which is good to see. That was a lovely picture of you. I need to know what the drink was, if you don't mind disclosing.
Yeah,
just
me
'cause it
too.
looked
Oh,
real
okay.
good.
So it looks alcoholic, but it wasn't. It was just a Starbucks refresher. Very boring. I wanted to take one with like, we went to the Star Wars bar, and there's like a bar you can get all these like weird cocktails for way too much money, and I was like, I'll wear my Goofy merch to it's in Hollywood Studios. I'll wear my Goofy merch, and like no one was wearing Disney stuff, and everyone was in Star Wars stuff, and I was so embarrassed, and I was like, it's fine. I'll just take the hat off. I couldn't do it, guys.
Oh, why would you be you're in Star Wars land.
I know.
It's like the one place where you shouldn't be able to be embarrassed.
So I feel embarrassed, more embarrassed than the guy who's literally next to me in full on like Kylo Ren cosplay with the most ugliest lightsaber I've ever seen, and I'm just can't. Sorry. He was actually really nice. Although that lightsaber, it was not the one.
Oh,
Hope he's not listening.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you're listening. You
Sorry,
were nice.
Kylo cosplayer.
Yeah, it was really fun, but Disneyland is weird. I won't talk about this too much, but like, I was kind of interested to go because it does. I mean, it's like its own country, basically, like Disney World.
Yeah.
And it is. I can't understate how overwhelming it is. I stayed at a hotel where I was in the Cars suite. And after I'd stayed there for a week, I was like, you know what? I should watch the movie Cars again. I don't think I gave it a proper chance. Came back to the UK, slept, and went, what the fuck was I thinking? Like, Cars? Cars.
Ciao, etc. Yeah, I cannot believe you were Lightning McQueen pilled after staying in the Cars room.
Literally, and the music, there's like music on your TV. You can switch it off, but there's like ambient Cars music, like from the film that plays constantly. And then like, I don't know, it's just everything you eat is Mickey shaped, and like everywhere you go, there's like music from the films, and like, it's just, I honestly felt like I was being like indoctrinated into a cult.
Yeah, this is literally how you do it, right? This is...
Yeah. This is peak capitalism. And what do you mean ambient Cars noise? I need to know what that means.
So
That's
like
so cursed.
Honestly though, it's not like car beeps and cars like on the road. It's just like twangy country music that sounds like it's from the Cars film. But like Disney has this for every room. So we were originally in like the Little Mermaid suite, and they would apparently play like underwater ambient music, which I actually really like that kind of music. But like,
sounds nice.
It was honestly, it's the weirdest fucking place. I would never take my kids there.
Really?
If I had any. I just feel like it's so overwhelming as an adult that if I brought like a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old there, I just feel like they wouldn't be able to handle it because it is so overwhelming. Like all the rides and the characters, and you don't quite understand like what money is, right? So you want all this shit, you want to buy it all, and like it's just like, I just felt very like I definitely have like a Disney hangover. Like I got back and I was like, that was intense. It was an intense holiday.
Yes.
That's one of the most intense holidays I've been on for that reason.
When I saw you on Tuesday, I'd never seen anyone look simultaneously so tired and so like hyper.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It was honestly like, the rides were amazing. Like I love a theme park. I went on all the rides. I think Disney's doing like the best theme park rides in terms of technology, theming, everything about them was amazing. And I like, anyone who wants to go for the rides, go. But the whole Disney, like, oh my God, there was like, they're obsessed with Walt, which is obviously understandable, but he's everywhere. In the fireworks show, he's like, they have quotes about him. His photo is like,
oh my god.
it's just very strange because Walt Disney was kind of a big weirdo with too much money. He wants to make his own utopia, and it's just a bit like, anyway, it's very fun, but kind of weird, but also I really enjoyed it.
Wow.
If you enjoy weird Disney, and this is definitely something to just cut, but I will say quickly, there's a really good episode of a podcast I listened to just about Disney mysteries, which I will have to send you because it's very compelling.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay,
what's
for
that
sure.
called?
So it's the Chilluminati podcast, which I talk about all the time. I can't remember. I think they did 2 or 3 Disney episodes.
Damn.
Okay.
I will send you the links because I can't remember where they were in the series. But it's really really interesting stuff. Just for
Awesome.
people, because like one of the hosts grew up in like Los Angeles sort of area, so he's obviously like been there all his life and it's really interesting stuff. But yeah, no need to
I'm fascinated by
no need
it.
to keep that in. I just thought I'd throw that out as an aside.
Yeah.
Keeping
I'll
that in,
send you
keeping
that.
all this in.
Fair enough.
Isn't there like a little town, like a Disney-owned
Yes,
town?
there's a Disney gated community where you can stay and your house is themed. It costs thousands and thousands of dollars, but yeah, if you're like
God,
that much into
yikes.
Disney, you can stay. You can buy a house and stay on the property, and then just get like access to the park. It's very strange.
Kind of fucked, isn't it, really? Like, I want to go. I've never been to the parks. I've only ever been to Disneyland Paris, and I was like a grumpy 14-year-old. And even as a grumpy 14-year-old, I was like, this is actually all right.
Wait a minute. Oh my God. I went to Disneyland Paris as a grumpy 16-year-old and I'm 2 years older than you. There is a chance that there was overlap.
Oh
You
my
guys could have been there at
God.
the same time.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's incredible. In my head canon now, we passed each other
Yeah,
at Disneyland Paris.
Don't tell me what time of year you went because I want to believe it.
Yes,
Yes.
From now on, that's our origin story.
It is definitely we're keeping that origin story. But I've been to Disney World Florida a couple of times when I was 9 and again when I was 13, and I need to I feel the need to throw this now to friends of the podcast, my parents, for confirmation, because I don't feel like I was particularly overstimulated, especially when I went as a 9-year-old, and now I'm worried that I was like the most cynical 9-year-old because I was just there like, this is fun. I was having fun for sure, but I wasn't like, you know. But then we didn't stay in the parks. My parents were really anti us like staying in the park, so we stayed a bit outside
totally
and we
get
did some
that.
other
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
other than Disney as well while we were there. So maybe that's like, maybe it's the sort of getting out at the end of the day, being allowed to go home.
It's like
Yeah.
leaving a place, because I was in the hotel, so we were there for a solid 10 days, and I felt the brainwashing happen.
Yeah.
I felt it.
Yeah, you
Cars
thought the
2,
movie Cars was good.
3. I could watch those. Yeah. Oh, honestly,
That is wild. I appreciate the dispatch from Florida. That's incredible. And yes, friend of the podcast, Rebecca's parents, email at podcast@rockpapershotgun.com. I want to see this as well. Like, don't just tell Rebecca, email us. I want to read that
Yes,
email.
me too. I also want to know.
And we've got a really good video, I hope we've still got it, of me tricking my dad into falling off one of those moving walkways, which I think is probably
Oh my God.
probably the clearest memory I have and one that I know we had on video. So I'll see if I can.
Yes.
How
How
did
did
you trick him into falling off?
Well, it was more that he was doing the very dad thing. He got the digital camera. I think digital camera was quite new at the time.
Yeah.
And he was like filming off the side of the moving walkway. And you know, Rachel, you'll presumably be familiar with this. You know, they go on for ages, so you're just kind of hanging around. And he was like filming off the side, and I just saw that we were approaching the end, and I remember this like little thought in my head being like, he's probably seen the end. It's probably fine. But if I don't tell him, I can see what happens. Because I think that was the time we went when I was slightly older, so I'd have been about 13. And when you're 13, you're a jerk. So
That is funny, though.
it was
That
really
is
funny. The video is great as well.
Yes.
The video was exactly what I wanted from that. He didn't like fall right over. He just like
Incredible.
stumbled, and then he was fine. I didn't like injure my dad. I want to be clear.
In Disney World.
In Disney-
Release the footage. Release the footage.
I need to know if they have that now. I really I
Release
haven't
the
seen those
Jones
videos in
cut.
years, but I hope they still have them.
That's amazing. Well, brilliant. That's exactly what I wanted from a bit of Disneyland preamble. Disney World. Is Disneyland the one in California?
They're all Disneyland except the Florida one, which is Disney World, as I
Yeah.
recall.
Yes. So I kept calling it Disneyland, and people were like, "No, Disney World."
Beaten to death by Disney adults.
God, can you imagine if I came back and I was like a proper Disney adult? I should have worn the hat.
When I saw you
I
in the
should have
goofy
worn
hat, that has,
that.
incidentally, I need to tell the listeners, Rachel's goofy hat has its own hat.
Oh,
So
Yes.
Rachel
Yeah.
is wearing two hats when she wears the goofy hat. And when I saw you in that goofy hat, I thought there was a chance that you come back a Disney adult. And I just want you to know that
not quite.
you will always be my friend, even if you come back as a Disney adult.
Oh, thank you, babes. I was
It'll
really
be an
worried.
adjustment, but I care about you.
I would say our friendship's up for debate if you become a Disney adult, but
I mean, I am wearing a Mickey shirt, but it's like a cursed one.
Oh,
Like,
it's a really cool
that is
Yeah,
cool.
it's
I
really good,
guessed.
that.
It's it's a Uniqlo one with the artist Keith Haring, who I love. He was like a graffiti artist in the 60s. And look at him. He's disgusting. Cursed. Anyway, no one can see this. But yeah. There was also one of him on a TV, and the TV was like, the ink was running. And I thought it was so cool, but it was like orange. And I was like, I don't wear orange, babe. Sorry about it.
No.
But yeah, anyway, I am wearing a Mickey t-shirt.
I've seen Keith Haring stuff before, but never realised the artist behind that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, every day's a bloody school day, isn't it?
He's honestly like one of my favourite artists of all time. He's great. And then he started getting popular. Sorry about it. But he started getting really popular. Like as in Uniqlo did a collab with, obviously he's passed away, but Uniqlo did like stuff with him, and then other places. I think his stuff didn't become public domain, but there was like a deal where brands could then start like plastering his work on stuff, and I was didn't know how he would have felt about that, but you know what, I've got Mickey t-shirt out of it, so whatever.
It's a cool t-shirt.
Actually, let's get the hat. One sec.
Yeah, get the hat.
Get
Go
the hat,
on.
please.
She's getting the hat. Oh, there it is.
Oh, yes.
Goodness
I don't know if
me.
I can fit both on at the same time. I'm going to try though.
I think you can balance it on top of the headphones.
Hat and headphones.
Hat, headphones.
Yeah.
Okay, she's put the hat on.
Yes.
Listeners. 2 hats, teeth at the front, and
Yes.
the headphones are over
It
the top.
works.
And it's worked. Oh,
That is superb.
this is great.
It is a cute hat though, isn't it?
It is.
Everyone was like, what ears are you getting at? And I was like, ears? There's only one thing I want on my head for this
Goofy's
entire holiday.
entire head and his hat.
Goofy's face.
Go on, I'll wear this for the whole podcast.
Yes, please do it.
Incredible. I love that.
I was actually in the meeting on Tuesday. I wanted to wear this in the meeting, and I totally forgot about it.
Oh,
in
you
the
should
end.
have done.
I know. I was like, God damn it. Never mind. I'll do it now. If it doesn't distract too much.
He is making pretty hard eye contact with me.
It's like I'm talking to Goofy. He's staring into my soul.
It really is.
What does he see?
He's joined the podcast
Goofy?
now. I've gone. Goofy's here. I'm not
Dad?
doing an impression.
Is that you?
Oh, I was about to say, is that...
Daddy? No, because I was calling him Daddy throughout Disney Park. It was always so funny. And actually, when we were on the Star Wars ride, it's like the thing is like Kylo Ren's chasing you, and I was like, oh, he's just having a really off day. It's just my boyfriend having a really off day. And I was full on in the fancy, like he's my boyfriend. But yeah,
He's just
Goofy's
desperate to
Daddy.
see me.
Although I've never seen the Goofy movie, don't come for me. Never
What?
seen the Goofy movie. I know.
You've never seen Goofy movie?
Well, it's not really about him. It's about his son, isn't it? So I was a bit like,
No, it's about him.
oh, is it? I mean,
Yeah.
it kind of gives it away. It's kind of in the name. I just always assumed that it was like his family, and I was like, this is not part of my fantasy.
Oh my god, wait, hold on. What?
I'm taking this off. I'm taking it off.
Oh no!
It's taking me places.
Something happens to you when you put that hat on, Rachel. I don't know what to tell you.
Look,
It took me places.
I don't know how to respond to that, but let me tell you, I think that's one of my favourite Rachelisms, and I might leave it in the podcast.
Put it on Twitter for the...
Oh, good God.
Oh
Put
my
me on
God.
blast.
You've got to watch a Goofy movie. It's where his wife's canonically dead.
Wife?
Like,
Oh, dead. Okay.
God, I think that's instantly become a core memory. That was perfect.
that's hurt me. I like actually got
Oh,
pains
God.
in my lungs from how all the air in my body left at the same time there.
I'm crying right now.
Oh my God.
Actual tears.
It's fine.
Right.
Oh, wife. Oh, dead.
What?
That's
oh, yeah,
an
dead.
addition
Fine.
to the podcast law that I was not expecting, but is not surprising.
Oh, God. Okay.
Hell.
Okay. Ow. 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 My chest hurts. Ow.
Mine does too. My God.
Yeah, like here.
Okay. Oh,
Fucking hell.
come on.
Did you see everyone in the Discord praising how funny you are, by the way, Rachel. Did you
I
not
saw
see
I saw the
this?
pizza possum thing.
Yeah. There was another message as well. What did they say?
That's nice.
Zero on the Discord said, "It's a thing. My partner and I are stuck on her. Go for it, babes," as well.
Nice.
Which I would agree with. I would absolutely agree with.
Go for it, babes.
Go for it, babes.
Just go for it. Love it. That's so nice.
Well, you're very funny and a very good part of the podcast. Shall we actually talk about an indie game?
No, let's just keep complimenting me. No,
I don't know what's happening to you this episode with the goofy hat and all these compliments. I'm worried you're going to start glowing. You're going to start hovering off the ground.
Vibrating.
She's leveling up.
She's too powerful. Oh my god.
Yeah, indie games.
I cannot just think of you being the stepmother to Max from a Goofy movie now. Right. Eurovision.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck, what is this episode? Even
Somewhat
for us, the vibes of this, like, we record on a Friday. I think it's really important to establish that.
Yeah.
We're back in our chaotic Friday vibes. It's Eurovision this weekend? Next weekend?
Yes, this Saturday.
This Saturday. So last Saturday by the time the podcast is out,
Oh, yes.
which is hilarious in a completely different way.
True.
So, Eurovision. Rachel, you are, out of the three of us, I think, the biggest Eurovision liker. Can you explain to us what's the appeal of Eurovision? And for our American audience, of which there are many, what the hell is Eurovision?
So, yes, Eurovision. Eurovision is a yearly competition where each country in Europe puts forward an act to take part in a singing competition. And then it's split over 2 semi-finals and then a final. Everyone in Europe then votes for who the act they like the best, and that person wins Eurovision. It's basically a singing competition, but, you know, spread across the entirety of Europe. It's very fun. It's very campy. It's got a long history of being very queer. And so, yeah, I guess that's the appeal for me. It's just a good old time. And this year, the UK are hosting it for Ukraine. Ukraine won last year, but obviously they're, you know, in a bit of a tight situation right now. So we are currently hosting it on behalf of them. And so it's very much the situation of, yes, we're hosting it, but a lot of the acts, a lot of the entertainment, a lot of the presentation is all about Ukraine, which is really great. And yeah, it's been when this comes out, it will be over for another year. But at time of recording, we've had 2 semis. We had one on the Tuesday, one on the Thursday, and now we've got Saturday's concert, which I'm very much looking forward towards. It's basically the equivalent of like the Super Bowl, like my Super Bowl, my Wimbledon, any other sports thing. Like that is the magnitude of excitement that is around Eurovision for me, and I'm sure many others. So yes, it's a good time.
It's an interesting thing because as a Brit, I think traditionally in this country, because we never win, because everyone in Europe understandably hates us as a nation.
Yes.
It was always growing up, Eurovision was like something that we watched to almost take the mick out of.
Yes.
Like we're almost out of spite. We're like, well, I'm going to watch them. I'm not going to enjoy it every time someone says nil point for the United Kingdom. But I feel like over the last few years, I think a lot of people in Britain have sort of come around to actually enjoying it and to maybe appreciating it, because in Europe, it's always been a huge thing.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember being on a family holiday in Greece when I was a kid, and the waiter was talking to us, and he went, "Oh, do you watch Eurovision? You like Eurovision?" And my dad being like, "No." And he was like, "Why not? It's like the biggest event of the year. Everyone loves Eurovision in Greece." And my dad was like, "Oh, yeah, not in the UK." It's like, we got Terry Wogan to narrate it for a long time. And he just used to take the piss out of it. But I think now that the general perception has quite rightly changed to just appreciate it for what it is, which is just this like really nice, you know, bringing together of everyone across this continent that we politically separated from for some reason. But yeah, it's nice. I do enjoy it. I don't watch it that often, but when I do, I always have a good time. Rebecca, do you have much of a history with it?
Yeah, Rebecca does.
It's more or less the same as you were saying, Liam. I'm just going to actually clear up a little bit of pod admin right now, because we will get comments. The last time we said, I don't know if Americans know about this, we got a lot of comments being like, we totally know about this. Americans, yeah, I know a lot of you know Eurovision. So
Do they?
yeah, it's kind of it's interesting that Rachel mentioned the Super Bowl, because like I think that as the Super Bowl is to kind of audiences in the UK, it's like I definitely know Americans who are well into Eurovision, potentially like more than Brits, because as we were saying, like in Britain, yeah, there's like that sort of kind of, I guess, snobbery around it. I think that there is that kind of dismissing it as this really cheesy, campy pop contest, and like that wasn't, that was just like, oh, really dismissible. The first time I remember really paying attention to Eurovision was probably Hard Rock Hallelujah. Because that was just such a, I think I was 15, 16 when that was the winning song, and it was just
2006.
2006, that would, so yeah, I'd be 15. And yeah, that was just, 15 is the perfect age for Hard Rock Hallelujah. And so from then on, I've kind of softened towards Eurovision, and I watch it sometimes, like you said, Liam. It's, yeah, I remember my favourite, actually, I want to share my favourite Eurovision memory, just because it's such a nice one.
Yes!
The 2018 Eurovision was while I was in Amsterdam. I was on holiday in Amsterdam. And I've been to the Keukenhof Tulip Garden, which was like a bucket list day out for me. And it was an amazing, amazing day. And my partner and I had been on our feet for about 10 hours, and we sort of like got back to the hotel after dinner. It was about 8 p.m. and we were just like, we physically couldn't move. So we were like, right, we just need to just chill out in the room and watch TV, because we cannot do anything else now. And Eurovision was on, and we just sat and watched 4 or 5 hours of the Eurovision Song Contest. And it was Netta won with Toy, which I was rooting for her. I liked that song a lot.
That was a good
and
song.
It's just a really, really lovely end to a lovely day. And so I have that really, really fond memory of that Eurovision. I don't watch it every year. I don't watch it at the moment because I don't really watch TV anymore. But I'll watch the highlights on YouTube probably after this year's.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, no, it's kind of it's something I check in with occasionally, and tend to really enjoy. If something comes up that I'm really into, I'll sort of follow it. By the way, I hope I didn't sorry, I hope I didn't sound like I was telling you off, Liam. I just really did want to get in there and be like, Americans, it's cool.
Oh, cancel me. Please cancel me.
Yeah, no, it's just
Americans
last time I did it, I was like, Wallace and Gromit, do you know it, guys? And I got a lot of messages saying we know Wallace and Gromit, and everyone was very nice, but in a slightly don't challenge me on Wallace and Gromit sort of way.
Yeah, but you see, I'm playing mind games here. This is my YouTuber mentality, because we got more reviews of people saying I know what Wallace and Gromit is than we have at any other point in the podcast. So I feel if I'm like, well, these Americans don't know what Eurovision is, I'll bait them into giving us 5-star reviews.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sorry, yeah. Feel free to cut my little correction. But the reason that I wanted to bring it up as well was because there is an American author whose work I follow, Catherine Valente, who has been tweeting all day about her excitement for Eurovision, so it's been fresh in my mind. And she wrote Space Opera, which, if you've never read it, is a space opera about Eurovision, which is a very, very fun sci-fi novel that I read a few years ago. And I do want to recommend that. So it wasn't just a mean telling off with no with no payoff. I really did want to recommend a little bonus recommendation for you from this.
That's amazing.
This episode is Space Opera by Catherine Valente. Is about
looking at that now.
First contact with Earth, and basically Earth learning that they need to compete in intergalactic song contest, and if they lose they'll be destroyed because it will demonstrate that they can't play nice with other planets. So
yes.
Wow. And it is very, very funny and very, very weird, and it's a great book.
Good. It sounds very much in the spirit of Eurovision as well.
She has nailed the vibe of Eurovision. It's so good.
That's the thing I think as well. People are Americans won't get it. And I don't think that's true, because like we've talked about, it is quite big in both China and other Asian countries and the US.
Australia compete now as well, don't they? So
that's a funny story, because so for Eurovision 60th, I think it was maybe 5 years ago, they were like, Australia, have a guest spot, because it's it's cool, it's the 60th, we're all having a good time. They did so well, they came second, that Eurovision were like, you can stay. And ever since, they've consistently been in top 10, because they are that good. So we'll keep them. They're ours now. They can compete.
Incredible.
We've done that before, though, and it wasn't nice. It's just a little bit troublesome from that perspective. Yeah, good for them. Good for them. Like, I'm happy that they're happy to be involved, considering the history of all that. So
But this is the interesting thing I like about Eurovision as well, is that as campy and silly as it gets, it is a microcosm of geopolitical attitudes towards other countries.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you can totally
absolutely.
see that. Well, this is the thing, because a lot of people are like, including Eurovision, like, we're an apolitical show. And it's like, girl, you are not apolitical shit. Like, there's so much politics going on
Yep.
in the reasons why Russia's not competing this year, in the reasons why it constantly gets censored in both sometimes the UK, we get censorship, and in China and the US, there's constant censorship stuff. Like, it's all sorts of political nonsense going on, babe. Like, of course you're not apolitical. Like, but I think that's why I enjoy it as well. It's very, I mean, that's the reason why, one of the reasons why Ukraine won last year was because the act was honestly so good. Like, Kalish Orchestra were amazing, but it was just a coming together of everyone being like, this is a demonstration of like, we support you, and the horrible fucking stuff that's you're going through right now. Like, we're here for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, for them to be like, no politics here is like, I don't think so, babe.
Yeah.
I literally, we're talking about like our favourite Eurovision memories. The first time I ever got drunk was watching Eurovision with my older cousin.
Wow,
And
incredible.
We were drinking cider and she was basically teaching me geopolitical tensions in Europe and the world through the context of how each country was voting for each other in Eurovision.
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
Incredible.
14. And yeah, that was like, since then, Eurovision has always kind of stood as, like you say, it's just this melting pot of like cultures and of also like so representative of what's happening. Like, I don't think we got many points in 2016 after we voted to leave the EU, did we? So,
Oh, it would have been slightly
yeah.
before, wouldn't it? So I guess
So
or maybe it was 2017.
probably
Then, yeah.
So the last
Still
time the UK won was in the 90s, so maybe like 97, 98. And then since then, we've consistently been second board. And not only that, but in the last maybe 8 years, we've been in the dead last like 5 times.
yeah.
Dead last. Not like
Yeah.
second to that. And other times it's always been like last. We've always been in the second
Yeah.
half bottom board, apart from last year with Sam Ryder. And finally, whoever's organising our songs and our performances, because our one this year is very poppy, it's very upbeat, it's gotten loads of like, watching YouTube views are quite a early indicator of what songs are going to do well. And ours is like one of the top ones, it's got a couple of million views on it. So yeah, we finally got the memo that maybe we shouldn't stop sending like, I don't know, flops is the best way I can describe it, and actually start sending people who, you know, it's a bit more upbeat, it's a bit more. And Sam Ryder was a great example of that, who
They
came
were
second.
great, yeah.
Yeah, so
I guess that's reflective of the current attitudes towards it, right? Of like, we're actually taking it seriously now instead of...
well, the way we used to decide our act before was through another singing competition, which was on like during 6 to 9 p.m. Its main demographic was older women, like 40s and above. And essentially that audience was deciding who we were sending to Eurovision. And guess what the demographic for Eurovision is? It's not that demographic, babes.
Ah, yes.
So we were sending nice, lovely young men with, lovely voices. Oh, they're so lovely. And they would bomb because they were just, as good as they were just not representative of what people like in Eurovision. So yeah, someone went, maybe this TikTok guy with long hair and a booming voice and like really good personality, maybe he should. And then he came second, which was great.
Yeah, I like Sam Ryder
That's
a lot.
a really interesting history of Eurovision, Rachel. Thank you. That was
It's great.
I've learned things. I'm so happy to
I'll
have
keep
learned.
dropping them in throughout the podcast.
I would
but-
love that.
Please
May I
do.
make 2 quick observations, please?
Yes.
One, I've just seen where Rachel's put the goofy hat. It's now on a lamp.
Have you just
It's
noticed it?
staring
Yeah,
at
it's
me.
behind
Yeah.
it. It's horrible, isn't it? It's like he's swallowing the lamp.
Another thing I just want to mention is, Buds, I think we've got a new record. 35 minutes into this recording, no one's mentioned a video game yet. No, wait, Rachel's mentioned some Disney games. We're all good.
Oh,
It's okay.
yes, we have.
Our hands
Well, that's
are
not
clean.
that's not an indie game though. Dreamlight Valley.
Yeah,
is,
no one's mentioned an indie game. That is a thing we're going to have to address at
We've
some
mentioned
point
one
in
game.
this recording.
I will address it now. I have a bit inside baseball. My first point here is for the first part of my plan under the heading Eurovision, I have literally just asked Rachel about it. So thank you. You've fulfilled that
It
point.
was so interesting, Rachel. Thank you, genuinely.
Second of all, the reason why we're doing this episode is partly because we thought it would be a fun way of talking about indie games in a bit of a jokey, silly way. This isn't going to be a serious Indiscovery episode. And also, we're so busy at the moment. This is just us able to blow off steam and still get paid from work, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
To try and link this all back into indie games, we are going to submit some indie game characters that we think would be good performers in our fictional indie Eurovision. Indievision, if you will. You can tell I wrote this 5 minutes before we started recording.
I love it.
So, I would like to know if you could put forward an indie game character into our fictional Eurovision/Indievision contest, who would you submit?
Ooh, Rebecca, do you want to go first?
I feel like you should go first as the as the big Eurovision fan on the team. But if you're struggling, I have my answer. I've had my answer since you first mentioned this several weeks/months ago. So
I would like to hear
yours
yours first. I would like to hear what you have to say.
Okay, I only have the one because I applied a rigorous set of standards to my selection, of course.
Oh my god, I love this.
I love this so much.
I want to hear everything. I want to hear the standards. I want to get into it, babes.
Okay, so my rules, obviously. I was like, it has to be someone who I think would be eligible to compete in Eurovision. So we're looking for characters with, from nations that compete.
Oh
so
my gosh,
because so many games.
She's put more thought into it than I have already.
Me too.
This is why I only brought one, because I narrowed it down so far. I was like,
You've brought one correct answer.
I
is what
trust
you've
you
done
guys to have actually done more in the spirit of just making a fun selection and not apply a bunch of weird rules to it.
No, I'm
So
glad.
classic,
This is-
Rebecca.
Yeah, this is great.
It's my brand. I gotta lean into it, right?
Yes.
So I was like, okay, I want a character who is from a nation who would be eligible to compete.
Yeah.
I want a character who is a musician in universe
Okay.
in their particular fiction. So I think, did I have any more? I think that was probably the limit of my rule making, but considering how many characters that took off the board, it was already pretty restricted. Now, guys, okay, this is going to make it sound like I only play one indie game, and it is true, but also I have found the perfect answer, so it doesn't matter that it's true that I only play one indie game. I only play one game at all. I want to submit, for your approval,
Yes.
Liam DeLeoncourt from Monster Prom, because he would be the perfect Eurovision entrant.
Of course.
Of course. Right, okay. I'm going to take you through my reasoning. I don't know for sure, but he's a 400-year-old vampire and his surname is DeLeoncourt. I'm thinking he's got to have at least one European nationality attached to him somewhere.
For sure.
So we're good there, for sure. He can definitely... He's probably from, I don't know, Liechtenstein by way of France or something. He's gonna be able to...
Yeah, he'll be fine.
And very crucially, genuinely, in a way to try and bring this back to something broadly sensible, the Monster Prom games do have really banging soundtracks, so that is just something that I wanted to bring in.
So would they sing something from the soundtrack, or would it be an original song?
Oh, so the thing about Liam, and as I picked this, I realised this is going to be confusing, because
Why? Certainly not throwing me off.
to pick a character with the same name as one of my co-hosts, and to the point where I was like, should I just as a joke be like, oh yeah, my three choices would be Liam from Monster Prom, Rachel from Life is Strange, and Rebecca from Resident Evil, even though two of those aren't even indie games, just because I can make things as confusing as they can possibly be.
That'd be a great Eurovision band.
I mean,
I'll go see
I watch
that
the hell
band.
out of that. But no, yeah, that's just me raising hell for my own amusement. But yeah, no, genuinely, this is a character who is, through his various story arcs in various games in the series, is very interested in music. I think there's a whole storyline about him going to an Imagine Dragons concert, which is kind of, if you want to...
Oh my god.
I think he's slightly dragged there, though, because the vibe from his whole thing is that he is into very hipster, experimental, you ordinary mortals wouldn't understand my taste in music if anyone's heard of it. It's not good anymore. So I like to think that he would just submit the most off the wall. There is nothing resembling an instrument. There is nothing resembling vocals. It is just strange noises played discordantly together.
Incredible.
But he would definitely... I mean, I'd vote for him for sure. I'd see I'd see him in the finals.
Yes. I think what's good about it's like weird noises and weird sounds goes down really well. People don't normally just like, a synth beat. So I think he would. I think they would do really well.
I think
Yeah.
I need to see what this person looks like.
He's
Because
got
also
the-
vampires.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, the vampire aesthetic is going to do so well, right?
Yeah.
1000%. Have you seen him?
I do also want to say, there are at least 2 canonical bands in Monster Prom in universe, but I ignored them both to say this very silly one instead. So
He's
The
giving
European
like
connection.
exactly.
yes. He's giving like Top Knot, David Tennant, Doctor Who, like
Yep.
he's got the ankles out, very cute. Would he be playing an instrument, do you think?
Keyboard. I think he's a keyboard. Like, but with all of the sound effects going
Guitar?
on it. Oh, I do love a guitar player.
I think that would go down very well. He's cute. I think they do amazing. Everyone loves it. Skinny boy on guitar. Keytar.
Hell yeah. You're selling me more on my own idea, Rachel. This is
Approved!
Yeah, it's good.
Nice.
Yeah, okay. Submitted alive. What do you?
I'd vote for
I
them.
do like a guitar player.
Guitars
Yeah.
are so cool.
guitars are
Can
cool.
we explore? Are they? Can we explore this a bit further? Is there something inherently attractive about the
I
guitar?
think there's just the fact that at a very impressionable age, I was very into the Network.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a great answer.
It's like all the sexiness of a guitar, but it's like a well, you said he's like a hipster as well, right? So
Yes.
it's like it's got
Yeah.
that.
Suppose it is
ooh,
quite,
it's just
yeah.
I got a bit.
It's got to be
about it.
hipsterish. It's either got to be guitar or theremin. Now that I think about it,
Oh, the theremin is so cool. The
Oh, a theremin
yeah,
player.
like was it Clara Rockwell? Is she the really famous theremin player?
I have no idea,
I have
but
no
yeah.
idea either.
Gotta be some.
but
gotta
that
be
instrument is cool.
good
He would
Oh,
okay,
theremin player's
yeah.
good.
Him on the theremin would be aces. Weird instruments are the best.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
do love
picturing
weird
a full
instrument.
one-man band setup. So like keyboard in front with a theremin kind of on top, guitar in hand as well, just switching between everything, like
Incredible.
a
I'm
discordant
into that.
melody, something slightly
yeah.
gothic about it, obviously because he's a vampire.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Eurovision people love goths.
Yeah,
And every
so
time
like
there's a goth, they get through.
goth, hipster, super like new wave, new age, like it's a mess, but it
I
works.
love that. Yeah, I love that.
Incredible.
This
That
is
is I love that
my
you
suggestion.
applied like practical parameters for that. That's brilliant.
Can I just say, if I had not applied my practical parameters for it, I would have probably said Junebug from Kentucky Route Zero.
Which brings me on to what one of my choices was.
Oh, what a
Let's go for
segue.
Rachel.
Okay.
Because I wasn't sure how far you'd have played into Kentucky Route Zero, Rebecca. So I was a bit like, ooh, maybe I'll ask if she's played Act 3 or not, just to kind of like feel out. Because I think for me, that's like one of the best parts of Kentucky Route Zero is the performance by Junebug and Johnny. These two android cyborgs who you meet in Kentucky Route Zero, and there's a moment at the end of the chapter where they play at a bar, this really like grotty back alley bar that's kind of like been forgotten, and they're doing a show there, and not many people show up apart from like your band of travelers, drifters. And so because Kentucky Route Zero is kind of surrealist and magical in a lot of ways, there's a moment where they start performing and it kind of switches up into this kind of ethereal stage where the roof of the bar kind of lifts up into the sky, and Junebug's now wearing, previously it was like a jacket and jeans, and is now wearing like a beautiful dress. And this is just so, I just feel like it would work really well in Eurovision. Like ballads can go like one of two ways, like, but if they're interesting enough and they're kind of like they're doing something unusual, they normally go down really well. So I feel like that song, oh, it would do
And
so well.
you picked the lyrics, right? Or you helped kind of write the song. So I just played this part. This is like the last bit I played in Kentucky Route Zero. I need to finish it, but
So
I just
wouldn't
got
it be
to this, and it's
amazing?
beautiful,
if, like,
isn't it? It's
yeah,
so
and then
beautiful.
like, so you choose the lyrics, but then wouldn't it be cool, like through the Eurovision app, you could choose the lyrics that she would sing on stage
Oh, man.
during the performance?
That would be so good.
girl. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that we came to the same band person, because
Indeed. And
it is honestly one of the. I can just see it on this stage. It is a stage in my mind. It's just such a good song as well. It'd be like really good midpoint when you've just had an absolute banger of a track, and it's just like everyone come down song. Yeah, that's a good song.
The song you're referring to, Static Between Stations?
Ooh. I don't know what
Junebug
it's called.
Here's an interesting thing I like to bring out about Junebug is that they are one of the few in-game bands that has a real-world album.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
You know how I know, Rachel? Because I was on the news desk at PC Gamer the day it released. And so I did the news coverage of it for PC Gamer in 2020.
No way! Oh my god.
Yes,
there's literally an article here, actually on RPS about it as well.
It's what I'm listening to the song on, and it absolutely fucking rules. That song is so good.
It's very ethereal, and
yeah,
she's like
ethereal
dancing like
synthy.
this as she's singing
So
it, and you're
good.
just like,
This is definitely one of the places where Kentucky Route Zero's Lynchian inspirations come in, because there is a lot of Angelo Badalamenti coming through in Junebug's music, but a little bit more synthwave, I feel.
he does like having people singing his stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah,
That's a
there's
good
like,
point.
Oh, he loves it. Most of the return was people singing.
True.
Just an aside, I've listened to the Twin Peaks soundtracks so much throughout
Oh
my
my
entire
God.
life, and just the
Same.
I can't remember the name of the female vocalist, unfortunately, but all of the songs that she's on, they're so good.
What's that meme? I always think of that meme where it's like David Lynch like pulling like a a face of ecstasy while he's slamming a button down that just says "Oh, Angelo," and it's got Angelo like playing something on the piano. It makes us laugh every time I think
I've
of
never
that.
seen that. That's really
You've
good.
never seen that? I'll send
Chuck
it to you
it in
afterwards.
the chat, yeah.
Please do. I want to see it.
That's a great one, and I have just immediately added that song to my playlist because it absolutely rules. I need to play Kentucky Route Zero.
Yes,
Watch
you
this
do.
space.
I need to finish Kentucky Route Zero, so keep me honest.
Do you want one
Liam,
from
do
me?
you have someone? Yes.
I have 4. Actually,
Amazing.
that
Wow.
I speed
Okay.
ran. So the first one that I think would be really good is the Chowder Man from Hypnospace Outlaw.
Of course, Hypnospace.
Whiskers growing at the speed light. Put the trimmer into overdrive. Thoughts are running through my mind. Just a bathroom in the night. Spray the shaving cream into my hand. Lather up the world, don't understand. Man inside the mirror now. Should I finally let him out? I'm gonna shave or put the razor on my scale. Gliding along my flesh.
Because you sort of need like a sweaty dad character sort of in Eurovision, I think.
Yes, you're so
Sort of
right.
like singing
Yeah.
European pop ballads about things that don't really make sense in the English language. I think that's quite a staple part
Yes.
of Eurovision. So I think he has the charisma and stylings of a Europop artist. So yeah, I think Chowder Man would be
Chowder
good.
Man also as like, because I feel like there's like gimmicks in Eurovision as well, right?
Yes.
A lot of the time people have a thing, whether it's like, oh, we're dressed up in this way, or it's a puppet or whatever. And Chowder Man in itself is a good gimmick. It's a fun gimmick for sure.
Yes, agreed.
So I think they do very well.
Nice, okay.
Chowder
That's
Man.
a stamp of approval from Rachel. I like to hear that. How many more do you two have? Should I give another one if you bounce back to Rachel?
I've got quite a few.
Yeah, go on,
I
you
wonder
go
if one
next.
of yours is the theme from Paradise Killer. You know, the Stay Forever.
Oh.
Come on now. Say you don't like me, lady. 'Cause you got me going out of my mind. And now I'm a killer, oh baby. Well, I see you in a perfect 25. Oh, I gotta know. Grab a drink 'cause it's gonna take a while to get a taste for the lie behind the
I don't know,
smile.
because canonically that's meant to be Lady Love Dice singing that as well.
So
I didn't
her
even think about
on
that.
stage. Right, I gotta get the song for you, Rebecca.
Okay,
So
yes.
you can listen to it. Actually,
That
let me
is
just tell you.
Peak Eurovision.
So,
I
like,
can't believe I didn't think
It's
of that.
very Eurovision. So it's called Paradise, and then in brackets Stay Forever. I think if you just type in Paradise Killer and then just theme song. But I think in Paradise Killer, the theme is there without the vocals, like in the opening.
Yes.
And I think during the credits you get the vocals, and it's honestly. Oh,
Sorry, please.
Yeah?
I didn't mean to laugh over that. I just need to. You need to know this, but
what?
when you type Paradise Killer Stay Forever into YouTube, the channel that has uploaded the top hit result is Miles Edgeworth Leet.
Yes.
Oh, yes, it is. Of course it is. I thought, out of the corner of my eye there, Rebecca, because I was looking at the search result, I thought you dabbed when you said that. I thought you went Miles Edgeworth Leaf and just did like a mad
I think what you can't see is there's a wall here that I had to hang on to because I was laughing so hard. I needed to not like. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I interrupted you,
appropriate.
but I
No,
couldn't
no.
stop laughing. Unfortunately, I can't listen to it now because I have deafened my headphones to other apps other than Discord.
Oh, that's fair.
But I'll listen later. For sure.
I mean, it's
To
basically
Miles
like.
Edgeworth Leet.
Oh, that's incredible. Miles Edgeworth would really vibe to Paradise Killer for
Oh, he
sure.
loves Eurovision, by the way. I just need
Oh,
everyone to know that.
1,000%. Miles
Yeah,
Edgeworth,
absolutely
yeah,
does.
he'd be a judge. He'd be 1,000% a judge for the country. Like, oh
Hell
my
yeah.
god, incredible.
He's like Anglo-German, right? So
exactly.
there you go.
So he can
There you
go Miles.
Perfect. He could compete.
And he would 1,000% be backing the Paradise Killer song because it is incredibly Eurovision, like Liam said, like vaporwave, big strong lady singing her heart out about just having a good time in paradise. Palm trees, colors everywhere, just like
Yes.
I feel like that song is very. It would be an absolute
perfect.
banger. It's a winner's
That's
song.
the perfect pick. Yeah.
It's a good
I can't believe I
song.
didn't think about it.
We have to put like a playlist or all these in the show notes so people
We
can listen
do.
to them.
We do.
Oh, absolutely.
Or
Absolutely.
maybe could you like in the background? How much can you get away with like playing these songs softly in the background of this
Most of this
podcast?
stuff, I think I'll be all right. We'll find out.
We'll find out. But yeah, that one for sure. Oh, I know. I was like scrolling through my games, like, oh, you know, who would make a good Eurovision entry? Absolutely, Lady Love Dies. Absolutely incredible. Just can just be her. We don't need anyone else on stage. Just her
No.
singing it, keeping it real.
We could have the other characters as backup musicians. That would aesthetically that would look very interesting. The
Oh,
one
it
in the
would
costumes
actually.
and yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of mine as well.
I slightly related in terms of like aesthetically, I think it makes sense, but I don't know what the music would be because I think the music from this game wouldn't fit Eurovision. But I do think the cast of Hades bring that sort of like queer sexual energy that's peak Eurovision.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
you'd probably have Meg as the singer, but you would definitely have Zag on like bass, and it would
Yeah.
like
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
You'd be waiting for the
Yes.
camera to pan over Zag, I find.
So like two Eurovisions ago, the Italian band Moleskine won, and their energy is very Hades.
I remember. I think that was the last one I watched.
Yeah,
And
this 2021.
yes.
So
What did you say
so
they were
wait, no,
called?
the year before last. So it was I get confused because we missed a year, and it always fucks me up. 2020 we didn't have one. They're called Maneskin. Let me Manesk. Yeah, Maneskin. Yeah. So they're very.
Oh, I remember them.
Yeah, and Hades very much gives them like that's the same vibe. I know exactly what you mean, and they would do a song like they did, 1,000%.
You 100% could dress Manskin up as Hades characters, and
Yeah.
they would just rock it.
Yes.
But that energy, like there's like interviews with the lead singer, and he's just got his legs up with his like I don't know 6-inch boots on the desk,
that.
topless, with a bottle of champagne, like taking press questions after they won.
I remember
And it was-
watching that one. Oh, yes.
was
I'm looking at that photograph
amazing.
right now. It's the best.
Yes. So that energy, 1,000%, the Hades cast. And they
good.
all the voices as well. You know that they can all sing. That would be incredible. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought that was quite a good one.
Because I have a super giant one as well. Because
Do you?
Red from Transistor, who's a pop star in Transistor.
Oh, yeah.
I hear you buzzing, a fly on the wall, in through the window and up through the hall, flying in circles, just
So, unlike the Hades crew, I think she'd definitely be more of a ballad girl. She could sing her ballad, her sweet, sweet ballad, and then, I don't know, it'd just be pretty visuals, nothing fancy, just her in a spotlight. It could go either way, because some people like a bit more upbeat, some people like the more heartfelt stuff, but the judges would eat her up. Like, I feel like the Hades crew would be very, like, the public vote, they would eat that shit up, but she's very for the judges. So yeah, Supergiant coming through with all the Eurovision entries.
They're just so good. They're just so good at character design. What can I say?
I know, and the voices and the vibe is very, yeah.
Can I pull us into a random aside just for a second?
Always.
Go for it.
Please continue.
Because I noticed that we have largely like drawn from the wells of many of the games that we brought up in our very favourite indie games episode a few weeks ago. And I'm like, now there's two interpretations to that, one of which is ungenerous, which is that we are all just like absolutely stuck on our favourites, which is something that we might do, but the fact that we've all done it independently of each other, I think is supportive of the second explanation, which is like, how important is music to you in like making a game something that you really, really love? Because
hugely.
I don't think of myself as a hugely musical person, but like all of the games that I really like, I have the soundtracks on constantly. And I don't think that's just a familiarity thing. I think that music is a very important part of creating that atmosphere, like a lot of, maybe not in all cases, but a lot of the time.
I don't truly love a game unless it has a soundtrack I can emotionally connect with as well.
Yeah.
Is what I will say. There are plenty of games I've enjoyed, but if the music doesn't resonate with me, it's the music that sticks with me for longer. I find. So I think a lot of my favourite games are as much because their soundtracks are evocative and impeccable.
Yeah.
That's what keeps me come back.
It's I suppose it's sort of the way back into the game as well, isn't it? Like when you finished a game and you know, it's like that was 15 to 100 hours, and it's not so easy just to drop back in potentially with most games. But you know, go on YouTube, 5 minutes of the soundtrack and you kind of really back in it as well, and it's just in many ways one of the most accessible ways to like revisit a game that you've loved.
That's a really nice way of putting it. I completely agree. Yes.
It's like, as you're describing that, I was trying to think of like of games and their soundtracks, and like I just can't help but smiling. Like one of my favorite games is obviously Return of the Obra Dinn, and just like hearing those bells in my brain just makes me smile about that game. And it's just like, it's the same with everything we've talked about. Like I think sometimes it is important for me. It depends on the game. If it's like something like Terra Nil, which we talked about recently, I feel like the soundtrack is supposed to be a bit more evocative of like you're concentrating. It's kind of there in the background to be kind of not heard but also heard at the same time to get the vibes going. But I mean, yeah, a bunch of my favorite games have really good soundtracks, and even games that I don't like I didn't really click with Hotline Miami that much, but the soundtrack to Hotline Miami is like one of my favorite game soundtracks of all time because it's incredible. So yeah, I guess it can go either way, but a good soundtrack definitely helps for sure.
Absolutely. There we go. Managed to bring some borderline analysis into this otherwise very silly
None of that. Please don't do that again. Thank you very much.
In our podcast.
People know what they've signed up for. This is no one's first episode.
So I've got another one.
Hello, if it's your first episode.
And oh yes, hello. And this is part of my crusade to get you two to play Undertale. It's a character from Undertale called Metaton, who is they first start out as like a robot, but then when you fight them, they transform into this like and really sexy android. I say sexy, but they're like very camp, like boots, hair, like makeup. They look fabulous. They're basically like a drag queen
selection. This is great.
And so the idea in Undertale is that Metaton is a creation made by another character whose kind of job or responsibility is like making people tune in to their television show. So they're very expressive, over the top. They want you to watch the show. At one point, they do wear a dress, and then for a short time, and then take it off again. It's like, it's the closest, like I said, is the closest you can get to a drag queen, I feel like, in games. You don't see a lot of drag queens in games, which is, I was thinking about that when thinking of you, the games to mention of this podcast. But Metaton is definitely like in that area. And like as you fight them, there's like a ratings graph that like goes up and down depending on like how you fight them. And then one of their attacks is like their legs coming in at certain angles, like with the pointed boot, and you have to like avoid them. And there's like options that you can pose, you can heel turn, like it's very over the top. And I just feel like Metaton would be such a good Eurovision entry. I feel like they would absolutely slay it. They just have that very raw, like queer energy about them that's like super fun. And it's a great boss fight in Undertale as well. So you guys should really play Undertale, you know what I'm saying?
I'm watching this boss fight and I'm loving every single frame that I'm seeing. This is
the
so
music
funny.
as well. Death by Glamour is the music, and it's
Nice.
absolutely slaps so hard.
It's so
Incredible,
good.
yeah.
A lot of Toby Fox's music, I think, would fit Eurovision, maybe.
So I've gone down the rabbit hole of thirsty fan art is like the third thing that comes up when you just
Oh,
type
it's
Metaton
mainly
Undertale.
thirsty fan art, yeah.
Yes.
And also the top question on Google: what is Metaton's gender? Which is
Yes.
I just need to read you this snippet from a Steam community answer, just because it is
Oh.
immediate.
it.
I'm very interested. Metaton is male as a robot, and he is constantly referred to as he. However, it's possible, due to some hints in the game, that Metaton was a female ghost before becoming a robot, but it's never outright stated. That is everything in that statement is fascinating to me.
That is incredible.
Yes.
The ghost. Yeah.
I love this character already, obviously. And yeah, they definitely have that. They have that sort of like glam look about them, which, because of
glam.
what I was talking about earlier, and like definitely particularly Rachel, do read space opera, because that is basically the main character from space opera.
For God's sake.
Oh my god.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
literally going to. But yeah,
Yes.
like,
It's a great choice.
It's a point in the game as well, because Undertale can get quite dark at times. And it's just a really funny section. Because yeah, he starts off as like a literal square, like, not to bring in Wallace and Gromit again, but you know the robot that's like a square with like the wheel. It's very
Yes.
much
Yeah.
that. And then he transforms, and when he transforms, so you beat him the first time. It's like the first part of the boss fight. Am I gonna do this? And then the screen goes dark, and he goes, "Oh yeah," and then he comes onto the screen, and it's like. Like,
Oh, that
it's
sounds so
honestly
funny.
the best thing ever. He's
I love it.
iconic. Oh yeah. So
Oh my god.
Toby
We'll
Fox.
definitely play it. Genius. We've got this idea for an episode format where we're going to play games that one person's played but the other two haven't. So we're starting with Kentucky Route
Yes.
Zero. So Rebecca and I are going to play through it, and then we're going to have a big chat about it. And I think we'll probably do Undertale as well.
I feel like we have to. Like, it's
Yeah, I
such
think
a
we have to
big
as
gap in my indie gaming knowledge.
Yeah, you both
Same.
would love it. It's the humor is very much like
Yeah.
right up your guys' street.
It seems like something I'd love.
Yeah, I mean, it's
yeah.
the fan base. I mean, has gone. It's not exactly. I don't know. This could be a whole conversation about Undertale. Like, I feel like maybe for another time. Like, fan bases and video games and indie games would be really interesting to talk about, because
Oh
Undertale's
yeah, it would, yeah.
Undertale's fan base has been through the highs and lows of internet fandom.
Yeah.
Good game, solid game. But yeah.
Man,
We'll do it.
Just,
We'll definitely
you
do
can't
it.
hold
For
a rabid
Metaton.
fan base against a game.
No, you absolutely can't.
Like, everything that I love has the weirdest fan bases, and maybe that makes me weird.
No,
It's
you're good,
fine.
babes. I'm with the Undertale fan base for sure. Like, oh my god. I was going to say, friend of the podcast, hopeful friend of the podcast, Fangamer, recently released like a Nendoroid Toriel. And I'm like, I need that. Fangamer, please sponsor us. I really want that. I want all your merch.
I
Us
just
three
bought
talk
something
about it
from you
all the
this week.
time. Yeah, us three talk about your stuff all the time. Please,
Yeah.
if anyone's from Fangamer, we would love it. Absolutely.
Fangamer, please.
Fangamer.
Answer my calls, fan game.
God.
Hey,
I had another one as well. If we're still going. It's not really an indie game. But I thought, just very quickly, at the end of Portal 2, when you're going up to the elevator,
the turret opera.
Oh,
the
my
turret
God.
opera would honestly be iconic as well. Could you imagine?
that is so good though. Like,
The final song from Portal 2, the Want You Gone,
Yeah.
that could literally be a Eurovision song. That is like a
1000%.
synth
I love
pop
those songs.
banger.
Yeah.
Same.
Well, here we are again. It's always such a pleasure. Remember when you tried to kill me twice? Oh, how we laughed and laughed. Except I wasn't laughing. Under the circumstances, I've been shockingly nice. You want your freedom.
And I'm one of the people who prefers the closing credits music to Portal 2 over the original one, even though the original
I do
is
as well.
really good. Jonathan Coulton as well, I think, is the composer, and he's just generally a really good sort of comedy folk rock musician whose stuff I recommend.
Awesome.
Can't I forget our friend, Rachel and I, our friend Ellen McLean, obviously, the singer of those songs.
Your
as well.
bestie, Liam.
Yeah, I know.
My
Ellen
bestie.
McLean
Bestie.
confirmed Liam fan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1000%. You guys were like
Oh,
besties.
Oh,
Absolutely.
she sent me a lovely follow-up
So
email
wholesome.
afterwards as well.
Yeah, so adorable.
Oh, what a babe. Friend of the
She's a-
podcast,
she's a
Ellen
babe.
McLean.
Seriously, this time.
Yeah, actually, seriously.
Actually, seriously, yeah. I only have one more, which is just yassified Harry Dubois from...
Oh my god.
I don't really know what I mean by that. Look, I've been doing Zelda guides for 3 days. I cannot be held accountable for my mental state at this point.
I don't trust him though. He'll literally go onto the stage and like absolutely
Die.
Like,
Okay. Can we
die?
can we get the game name for the listeners and not at all because I need it?
Oh, sorry,
Disco
that's
Elysium.
Disco Elysium.
Of course, thank you. The game that I have yet to get more than 2 hours into.
Yeah.
I've never even played, and yet for some reason have put on my list. So we also wanted to have a chat about if we were to make an indie game based on Eurovision,
Yes.
what would that game look like? So which of the two of you want to go first?
I feel like Rachel and I were having a chat about this in our
Yes.
Slack DMs.
Yes.
Inspired mainly by the fact that I never shut up about Danganronpa. But
Yes.
Rachel brought it up for once, so I feel that it's only fair.
It was me. Soz about it.
Just as I'd gone quiet, just as I'd 100%ed Danganronpa 2 and was ready to, like, not mention it every episode,
Move on.
Rachel's in there, like...
Hey.
So it's her fault this time. But yeah, I'm trying to think. We had the sort of thought. I mean, this was mainly a Rachel thought. So I don't know if you want to take it. And do
No,
it
you
justice.
go for it. I'm trying to think what you're talking about. Not the execution.
Yes, the execution.
Oh.
Yes, the execution. And like, I know that there are probably better and more straightforward ways to do a Eurovision indie game, but I can't get this idea out of my head.
Yes.
I
I think that's a good idea.
I'm
Yeah.
going to quote you on this, Rachel, just because I think it's a great,
Oh, please
Go
do.
for
a great
it.
one. What would be extremely funny would be a Monokuma-style execution to an upbeat Europop track. Lol, now that would be a performance. Which I mean,
Incredible.
no lies detected. Absolutely
But
spot
oh
on
my god,
true.
they're great. Those moments of the
Yes.
game, devastating as they are some of the music is good, the performance is good. Monokuma knows how to put on a show. Like,
Yeah,
they
for
really
sure.
do.
Like,
So it would be great. Yeah.
genuinely,
So Monokuma, the bear antagonist from Danganronpa,
indeed.
I assume performs executions of school children. But
Yes.
what are we talking
We're
about
normal.
in terms
This is
of
a normal
execution?
interest to have, I swear to God.
This is broken, Rachel. What are we describing here? Is the bear is performing, or the bear is killing off people? Who
I feel like
don't
the bear
get
is
many
stage
points?
managing at this point. I feel like that's very much the Monokuma role.
So like a group of people, they don't have to
Yeah.
be teenagers, but they join Eurovision and they all perform, but instead of their usual performances, Monokuma kills them in each performance in a style that's reflective of either their country or the song they were going to do, or, you know. So like, I guess it was the UK, you'd have like a Big Ben just come like slap on someone and splat them.
Oh, that
But
is-
something like
yeah.
egregiously like nationalistic for us, because we're disgusting like that. Like, I
Yep.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that,
That's
but, you know,
so funny.
execution style with the Danganronpa, absolutely,
Yeah.
like OST, just
Yes.
yeah.
For
So
sure.
that would be one game.
Indeed.
Incredible.
And before
Absolutely
anyone
incredible.
before anyone gets in the comments, we thought this one out as to whether it was indie or not. And we decided that it is because Danganronpa original creator has now left Spike Chunsoft to form his own company, Tokyo Games, which I think counts as indie at this point.
Yeah, we decided.
So we have unilaterally decided that this is indie for our purposes today.
I like how you're saying no one in the comments better come from me, when the only person who's ever come for either of you about whether something's indie is me. It's this prick in last episode. The commenters are fine. The commenters are always
People are
lovely.
just genuinely
I'm the
don't seem to
problem.
mind too much if we slip away from indies.
No,
which is great.
it's
Thank
me.
you, guys.
Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. It's not them.
It's me.
Whereas I just like to push you two to see how far I can get away with like pushing further and further into not indie anymore, just to play the
Until this
devil.
podcast is just
I'm traumatized. I'm honestly traumatized, Liam. What can I say?
no, don't please.
But yeah, so there you go. Danganronpa is indie.
Yeah, if you want some ideas for Danganronpa 4, you know.
Eurovision.
Oh my god, wouldn't that
don't-
be the best thing ever? So the
don't-
Killing School. It's
Yeah.
like,
I'd love to play a murder mystery that's revolved around a singing competition. That would rule. That'd be
Legit.
so good.
I kind of raised this just because I thought it was a fun point that we came up with, and I didn't want it to not be in the podcast. But the more I talk about it, the more we're getting into it.
another quick side point. There is an Ace Attorney case where someone is murdered at a concert, but it's the ones you haven't played, Rebecca, in the... Oh no, what's his
Apologists.
name? Yes. Thank you, Liam. Apologists, there is one.
Nice. I look forward
You've
to
got to
it.
look forward to that.
Localize it, Capcom. Update it, Capcom. Re-release it, Capcom.
Capcom, friend of the podcast, Capcom.
Podcast Capcom. Yeah.
Feel like the developer Samogo, who did Sayonara Wild Hearts, could do a good murder mystery set in a European pop singing competition.
Yes. That's a
That
really
that
good
would feel
point.
like a good fit for them. Yeah. There we go. Pitched.
Done. Publish it.
Well, my game idea was just like a Jackbox style party game,
Yeah, I think a party game would be really fun.
but you type a bunch of random words in. It like prompts you to either pick words or type them in, and then then choose like a bunch of instruments or like snippets of melodies.
Yeah.
And then the game would like create a song using like text to speech. A bit like, do you ever see there was that Nintendo 3DS game called Tomodachi Life?
Yes, I know
Where
the
you
one.
could-
Oh, yeah.
You know that one? It was like pitch shifting text to speech.
Yes,
So,
I've
like,
seen some hilarious videos on YouTube of
It's
that.
so
Yes.
good.
So good.
So almost like that, like you create like mini Eurovision, like you like type a lot of random stuff in and you go like just like make everyone laugh, and then whoever does the funniest performance wins. I feel like that
Yes.
would be quite good.
I
would
approve
enjoy
of
playing
this.
that 3 times and then never touching again.
Right, it doesn't require me to sing, which means that I do like it as the idea of a kind of singing-based
Same.
party game.
That's my reason as well. Yep.
That would be absolutely hilarious. Let down by the lack of murder, which I've started to realise is eerily my only interest in life, truly. But no, yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
I love that. That's brilliant. Has it got any
Yes.
other game ideas, or are we ready just to move on?
Did I have a game idea? No, I didn't. I think the Danganronpa one was good. I think the that one, the party game one, is a really good one as well. Because I was thinking something along the lines of like not Sing Star, like the one you actually do have to sing, or like Guitar Hero, those kind of ones. But then I was like, as much as I like singing, I don't really want to. As part of a game, I feel like it'd be a bit too forced. I'm more sporadic and in the moment, like a Disney princess. Like I don't really.
Nice.
I don't know.
Like Goofy's wife, a Disney princess.
Yeah, a Disney princess. But would she be though? Because is Daisy a Disney princess and is Minnie's a Disney princess, right? Does Minnie count?
I feel like there's some sort of like membership requirements beyond just
Right?
being a female character in a Disney property.
I don't think they do count.
I don't think that I'm
No,
not
they
even sure
don't.
because at the brief
What the fuck,
brief
Disney?
moment in my life when I was maybe about to be not a Disney adult but an adult once again interested in Disney was
Yeah.
probably after the release of Frozen, just because I got really into the history of Disney
Oh,
princesses
yeah.
from that for some reason. I liked the film. I wasn't obsessed with it, but I was like, what is the history of Disney princesses, and can is it Nala from The Lion King be a Disney princess?
Oh yeah.
Which I think that they've made this rule where they have to be like humanoid, which seems bad. But there was a whole thing where Anna and Elsa weren't being like inducted into the official lineup of Disney princesses after Frozen, and it was all a bit controversial in those circles, as I recall. I don't know if they
They're
have now,
not
but...
princesses. No, they're not. There's
No?
12 official Disney princesses. Snow White, Cinderella, Aurora, Ariel, Belle, Jasmine, Pocahontas, Mulan, Tiana from Princess and the Frog, Rapunzel from Tangled, Merida from Brave, Moana from Moana, and then here it says former princesses Tinkerbell and Esmeralda from Hunchback.
Oh, well, that's a
Dang.
That's a read.
Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it?
Revoked. So you're telling me that I have to choose between being Goofy's wife or a Disney princess? I can't be both.
I'm afraid you do. I'm so sorry to be the bearer of bad news on this. But
It's honestly fine.
Doesn't look fine, Rachel. Doesn't look fine.
It's honestly fine.
she's picking the hat back
hat's
up.
coming back.
Oh,
The
the
hat's left
hat's
the lamp.
gone now. Oh, she's made a decision. Bye, Goofy. Bye. Don't know him.
Don't know her.
I would love it if you reached over and there was a tiara and you just
Oh, that would have been so
lowered
funny.
it onto your head.
One.
Oh,
God, that would have been so good.
I wanted to get a
almost
mini one for
expected it to
Wizard.
happen.
Oh, little tiara for Wizard.
Yeah, I don't mean it. My hat. There you go. Games. Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah. All right. Should we move on to hyperfixations?
Yeah, let's do it.
I hope all that
Oh my God.
works. In the
You what?
edit, I hope all that works in the edit. Us just jumping around, and
I feel like we've been
Oh, I
calling
think
back
it
to so
will.
much stuff that Liam's going to have a
know.
nightmare editing this
I
one.
feel so
No.
so sorry.
I think this is nice. This is probably the first episode that's like purely just for people who've listened to other episodes. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
we're trying to get.
And
we're allowed one of them.
some very confused Eurovision fans.
Yeah, who are like, what the fuck?
Sorry. Sorry if you Googled Eurovision podcast and this came up for some reason. I'm so sorry.
Welcome.
Or
Yeah,
maybe you
welcome
love
to
it. I don't know.
Indiecovery. Yeah, why are they talking about Goofy so much in this Eurovision podcast?
It's about Eurovision and indie games. There's a solid half hour of Goofy chat. Like,
Yeah,
as
not
was
enough
us.
Goofy chat. I went to listen to this podcast about my favourite Eurovision singers, and it was just this person talking about marrying Goofy for 30 minutes.
Thirsting over Goofy.
Going on a
well,
whole emotional roller coaster about him having a wife who was dead.
I don't think it was a roller coaster. I think it was a rocket from 0 to 150 miles an hour.
It was just
that destination was reached. There was no journey.
It wasn't
No
a roller coaster, but
stops.
it was just oblivion.
No.
It was just
Yeah,
just
It was so in the
up,
moment.
down, done. There we go.
It's my pure raw reaction to Goofy
It's the
having
mo-
a wife. Oh, she's
good.
dead.
Oh, she's dead. That's all right then.
oh my
Oh
God.
no, my chest is dead.
Yeah, I know,
Rebecca,
right?
if you were to marry a Disney character, who would you choose?
Oh
Yeah.
god, that's such a tough question.
I'm gonna put it back.
You know, I did
Goofy's
actually
back.
when I watched Rapunzel. Is it Tangled? That's the one, Tangled. Which I personally like. I watched Brave, Tangled, and Frozen all around the same time, and honestly,
Oh, yeah?
I liked them all. Frozen probably my least favorite, to be perfectly honest.
Tangled's the superior film out of the two. I think.
And yeah,
he's-
Flynn Rider, kind of my type, I guess. I mean,
He's
like,
kind of
I don't
hot,
know.
isn't
Yeah.
he?
He's pretty hot. Who else we got?
Tangled. Oh, Gaston.
No way.
No,
What?
no,
Really?
I can't with the villains.
Rachel, we're learning so much about you today. Gaston! Gaston!
I regret to inform you, but it will come up sooner or later that I am way too fucking paragon in my life to crush on a villain unless they have like a redemption arc. I'm sorry. It's
Really?
Yeah, to be honest, he's kind of
rubbish
grim.
me.
True. Oh, Maleficent. Girl.
See, yes, I will say.
Yeah.
For
The
sure.
horns.
Not usually a big
Stop.
Angelina Jolie fan, but in the movie, hell yeah. And again,
Yeah.
we've got the villain's point of view. We've got she doesn't need a redemption arc once you've seen
No.
Maleficent, and that's
Also,
Yes.
they didn't invite her, so shame on them. They were just like, all she wanted was to go to the christening or anniversary or birth or whatever, and she was denied that. And as a woman who's going to miss out, like, ooh, yeah, you know what? Yeah, her for sure. I'm trying to think of other people.
I know, right? Suddenly, given this question, my mind has gone so blank all of a sudden.
I have Googled hottest Disney characters. And this
Okay.
list I'm on has Tramp from Lady and the Tramp,
I knew it was all going to be animals. I knew as soon as
Number
you said that it was all
13.
going to be animals.
Wait, who was the other one?
Pongo from 101 Dalmatians is at 11 on this list. Nala's number 9, and you know
I knew
what?
Nala was going to be on there. That was.
I don't disagree with that Nala one.
I mean, yeah. To be fair.
There's people who like prefer beast to human beast,
I was
and
about
that
to
is
say-
valid.
It's a galore down. It's
It would have to be.
100%
I
a
can't
galore
believe I
down.
forgot Beast, my original Disney husband from when I was like 5 years
There you
old. I think he's going to win over Flynn and Maleficent. To be honest, it's got to be the Beast.
Okay, Beast. Yep.
I know, but
That tracks.
you're like saying, "Ooh, Gaston," but like the beast is literally like he's not very nice at the beginning, but he
He's
does
not
No,
Okay.
but he has a redemption arc, which is my
and Gaston
you know,
doesn't.
That's my rule. So, although can we just say, in the live action remake,
Oh, I
Lumiere.
didn't see that. Oh, yeah. Oh my god.
Yes, Ewan McGregor is Lumiere for sure.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I
is
didn't
Ewan
even look
McGregor?
it up.
Okay.
Didn't even look it
Yes.
up.
I hope
Who
it was
plays
'cause now
Gaston
I
in the
said
live action one? Luke Evans. Okay.
Who's else on the list? I want to know.
I'll get it back up. I'll close it down.
Sorry.
Hold on.
You don't
It
have
is
to.
Ewan
I mean,
McGregor,
we
I'm
could
not
probably
talking
move
about
on.
No. We're doing this.
this is just a thing.
Hottest
I wanna
Disney
know-
character. Here we go. All right. Okay. He is top 10 for,
Yeah.
according to this list, Decider.com,
Yeah.
the hottest characters in Disney.
Okay.
Number 10, Tarzan.
Yeah, I can see that.
I can see it. Number 9, Nala. I can see it. Number 8, Hercules. Sort of, yeah.
Two goody two shoes. Like I can't be dealing with all that.
What was his love
Yeah.
interest name then? Meg. I loved her.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Meg would maybe be my choice, to be honest.
Yes. Damn. I think we're looking at one of my first crushes on women. Meg
It's all
from
Disney.
Hercules.
Yeah,
now
fair.
we look at it.
Should I admit this on the podcast? Yeah, why not?
Go
My
on.
first ever crush in my life was the female squirrel from Sword and the Stone.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Do you get it?
that's valid.
Valid.
That's
First
valid.
person who's ever got
Yeah.
that. Okay. That felt like
Valid.
as whatever, a young child, 4 or 5 years old. It was like neurons activated. It was like
No, but like
That-
Disney make those animals like. Do you know what I mean?
Fox Robin Hood.
Oh
well,
yeah, that's cute.
We're
know?
getting to that. We're getting to Fox Robin Hood.
Okay,
Oh,
sorry.
are we? Are we?
Sorry for jumping ahead.
Number 7 is Captain Li Shang from Mulan. I see it.
Yeah,
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
I see that. Number 6, Robin Hood. I do see it.
Yes,
I do see
So
it.
many. I've seen that so much.
Yeah.
That Robin Hood was
Yeah.
a lot of people's first.
that's a dang thing. Mm-hmm. For sure.
5 is Esmeralda. Yep,
yeah,
I get that.
I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In that whole film about the priest is just so horny for Esmeralda, he just loses his mind.
Okay, but like Hellfire is an
Oh,
absolute
it's such a good
banger
song.
of a song.
Banger of a
Frollo was a
song.
nasty pasty little man, but like yeah, that song.
But you got to say, the man does a good ballad when he's horny.
Eurovision contestant?
This should have been Disney in Eurovision. And
This should have been
just
Disney
trust our
Eurovision.
audience to follow us from indie games.
Number 4, Aladdin
sorry, yeah.
from Aladdin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
yeah, very much.
I
so.
get that. Number
Yeah.
3, Meg.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Described here as the sexy Amy Winehouse of Disney classics.
Okay, no,
All right.
absolutely not. That's
Weird way of saying that. Number 2,
one's-
Pocahontas.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Number
but
1.
like, yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Number 1, Jasmine. That's a safe bet, isn't it?
That's a
Oh,
solid
of
list.
course.
That is a
It's-
solid list.
It's that bit
It
in
is a solid
Aladdin
list.
when he captures her. Everyone went wild for it.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
I've seen too much
Yeah.
TikTok, Disney TikTok, but everyone talks about like that bit.
Is that when
me
she's
eyes.
wearing the red outfit?
Yeah.
Yeah. I get
God
it.
damn it. Disney, what the fuck? You fucked us all up.
Hyperfixations is a section of the podcast. We talk about the things that have occupied our brain for the last 2 weeks. I'd forgotten what we were doing.
But like,
We're still recording.
I think that entire... I don't know when that started, but I think that started as like a midpoint when we weren't like doing a bit for the pod, like
Yeah.
a
Yes, it
conversation
definitely
between
did.
conversations. So I don't know when I'm going to pick that up. That'll be fun.
This is going to be great.
Hyperfixations. Rachel, do you want to go first? What's your hyperfixation?
My hyperfixation is Eurovision. Surprise.
Makes sense. Tell me
Honestly,
more.
though, I was trying to think of something else for this little bit, but I do love Eurovision. It's my time of year. I score all the contestants. Like I have my little written board. I listen to the my Spotify playlist, which I then curate and add stuff to. I watch the YouTube videos. I read the Reddit. I follow Twitter stuff. So I am very much in my Eurovision week. Ooh, I'll say this now because it'll be out. The winner will be decided by then. Hello, future Rachel. I think the winner will either be Finland or Sweden. And I'm not angry if Sweden wins because Loreen won once before, but she's amazing. But I think it'll be one of those two. Those are my predictions. There you go. Just for
That'd be
me.
exciting.
And everyone else, if they're interested as well. That's who I think will win. If not, I don't know. It's not been the strongest year. Anyway, that's my hyperfixation.
This is a great thing to have on record. I love it when you can
I like
put
that.
down a
I really like
prediction,
that.
and
Yeah,
by
yeah.
the time the podcast is out, we will have the data on it. That's so good.
Yes. Yeah,
And
that's
we are
mine.
recording on the 12th, so we're not cheating.
No.
Yeah.
Rachel, take a photo of you with today's newspaper so we can put it on the Discord.
What does it say about us sharing one brain that I was about to say the exact same thing, right down to the likelihood of anyone having a newspaper? Oh my god.
I know. I don't have
What
a
happened
newspaper.
was, a friend of mine described this about me and her the other day. She said that when we were born, the doctor took one brain, cut it in half, and then put it in both of our heads. And I feel like that brain was distributed among many people, you two included.
Oh my god, you know that bit of The Night Before Christmas where he like takes part of his brain and puts it in
Yeah,
his
that's us.
Disney again. That's us, but a three-way.
I guess that is Disney. I never thought about that. Yeah, Jack Skellington. That's my hottie pick.
Why wasn't Jack Skellington on the top?
What about
Like
Sally?
he was like Tumblr sexy man for so many years. So many people
Was he?
wanted to bone the bony man. Yeah.
But
Amazing.
No, they did. There was like so many, like back in the day when you like had to like take really crispy screen grabs of like the film and like put the GIFs on Tumblr. There was so many of him. He was like the like start of like Tumblr sexy men. He was the first
Oh wow.
for sure. I think. I mean,
No, I
don't know.
I believe you completely.
he was
You know more
the
than
biggest
I would.
Tumblr sexy man on rachelwatts.tumblr.com.
Oh dear.
Mrs. Jack Skellington at Tumblr.com.
Does Goofy know?
Don't tell Goofy, please.
No.
Don't tell him.
God. If we ever get fan art made of this podcast, I just want it to be of you marrying Jack Skellington and Goofy at the same time, or one of them in the pulpit crying.
Oh no, one of them interrupting the ceremony.
Oh yeah,
It's like, does anyone?
I can't
Rachel
marry
turning
either
to say
of them
Goofy.
because I want to be a Disney princess.
Yeah, you got to set your sights a
true.
bit higher. You need
Yeah.
to marry
No.
politically, not for love, Rachel. I'm sorry.
Oh no. But yeah, your
what's
hyperfixation,
happening?
Rebecca.
My hyperfixation. For the love of God, yeah. What are we doing?
Go back to Disney every time.
Recording a podcast. We're recording a podcast. God, I feel like I need to just sit and like repeat my name and the date and the fact that I'm recording a podcast until I can be sensible enough to talk about the non-sensible stuff I should be talking about.
Oh god.
Sorry, I'm
Oh.
going to throw you off again. Did you come back
for
a
it.
sleeper agent? And are you actually Disney pilling us two? Like, you said that you got brainwashed. Is that part of your psyop to try and like...
No.
Because I'm sat here listening to Cars ambience.
It didn't quite
no,
work.
no, no, no.
I was supposed to.
I appreciated you trying to pull your chair back. It was a good bit. I liked it.
No.
I'm so sorry, Rebecca.
It's
Please.
okay. Yeah,
Yes,
it's okay.
yes.
I am the one who had the total brain blank and led us down this dark path, so it is fine. The first thing I wanted to do was quickly call back to our last episode because I brought up the Murder, She Wrote recap series by Pushing Up Roses on YouTube.
Yes.
I have
Yes.
binged the entire series
Whoa.
since then. I think she did about 25 episodes so far, so it's like they're a quarter of an hour each. They're not super long, but nevertheless,
shit.
I have binged the entire series. Still have never watched an episode of Murder, She Wrote. Feel like I want to now, but I can't
Incredible.
for the bit. So I don't want to bring that up because that was kind of a to the side hyperfixation for me for the last couple of weeks. But the one that I really wanted to bring up is a podcast I've been listening to a lot lately. It's kind of taken over every other bit of listening I'm doing. A podcast called Turnabout Breakdown, which I don't know if either of you have listened to it,
I
but
know
I
what
mean,
it is.
I can guess.
Ace Attorney recap podcast by two freelancers who kind of work in our little neck of the woods.
Oh,
it is
yes.
presented by and indeed it is hosted by and written by and everything by Jay Castello and Diego Arguello, who have both written for RPS in the past and
Yes.
write around the Read Pop sites generally, and are both very cool people. And yeah, when I think in our second or third episode, I talked about Ace Attorney a bit as my hyperfixation at the time because I was just finishing the 5-game collection, which I think about every single day, and the name of which has completely gone out of my head. The Turnabout Collection, that's all it's called. That's why I can't think, because it's just called the Ace Attorney Turnabout Collection. And anyway, when I talked about it in our episode a couple of months ago, I had a whole thing planned of what I was going to talk about, and then I really bottled it on the day for various reasons, one of which was that I was suddenly paranoid about giving spoilers, because they are very, obviously as visual novels and as murder mysteries, they're very, very plot heavy games. And I realised that I didn't really know how to tackle that, especially because it was only like the third or fourth time I'd ever recorded a podcast. So I just want to say, like, I've been listening to this podcast so much over the last few weeks. I finished season 1 because they do it like one season per game, and they're slowly going through all the games. I feel like I don't need to feel too bad that I don't feel like I did these games justice in the recap that I gave, because there are 40 episodes and still going of Turnabout Breakdown. It is such a good podcast, and if honestly, genuinely, shout out to them. I kind of know, particularly Diego, I know vaguely as a sort of Twitter friend / contact, because we've been working in the same areas for so long. But if you like this podcast and you want one person hyperfixating in great detail on every little aspect of something they love, and a friend who loves and supports them and is interested and wants to know more and is getting into their world and seeing things through their eyes, it is a fantastic podcast to listen to. And it is like a full recap of all the Ace Attorney games, going case by case, and it's just really great. It's wholesome stuff. It sort of itches that right part of my brain that just wants more Ace Attorney content now that I finished all the games that are out on PC. And yeah, it's very nice and chill, and it has been making me smile an awful lot. So yeah, shout out to Jay and Diego.
Yeah, incredible shout out. Link in the pod description below.
Absolutely.
Oh, I want to listen to it now. They are
So
both
good,
amazing
Rachel.
writers as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
they are. They're so
Yes.
talented.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to them.
Yeah.
What's
Go on then,
mine?
Liam.
Go on, Liam.
What is mine?
You got it.
Well, a small shout out. I haven't finished it yet, but a small shout out to Grave Expectations by RPS's own Alice Bell. I'm about halfway through. Have either of you read or started reading it yet? Or
No, not yet.
It's next to me. My copy is demonstrably here. I am just really slow at reading at the moment. I'm sorry, Alice.
I'm very, very much enjoying it, I must say. It's very, very easy to read, very evocative, and it's interesting reading the book by someone you know. I've never had that experience
Yes.
before, and you can see Alice in there all the time, and it's just wonderful. It's just really nice, and a very, very, very good book. I'd recommend that. Even though I made a rule that I would never recommend a book I hadn't finished, in this instance, I will break that rule. Go by Grave Expectations, support RPS's own Alice Bell. However, my actual hyperfixation is a book I have finished, and it's Frontier by Grace Curtis, which I finished a few days ago. So this is a sci-fi novel about a post-climate change affected Earth that is climate change has rendered it into a wasteland. And the idea is that the majority of humanity left Earth, but a lot of people were left behind. And those people that were left behind resented those who went away on these big starships. So they reject technology completely, and they live on this horrible, barren planet and don't use any tech. They resent technology. They've gone back to almost like a Wild West style society. And at the very start of the book, an escape pod falls from the sky and a stranger climbs out on a mission to try and find someone on this planet. And each chapter is about the stranger in some way or another. But each chapter has a different sort of like genre or theme. So some chapters, like one chapter is a murder mystery, and one chapter is about like a religious event that occurs in the middle of like a rubbish pit. It's interesting because it's very video gamey, and Grace Curtis, the author, local lass, shout out to local lass Grace Curtis. She's actually from about 10 minutes where I'm sat right now, a place called Gosforth in Newcastle, which I only found out about because she was on Simon Parkin's very good podcast, My Perfect Console, a podcast that does not need a shout out because it's very popular and very good for a reason. So she was on that podcast, and as she said, I'm from Gosforth in Newcastle, I was in Gosforth listening to the podcast, which was one of those weird little bits of kismet. So she is a freelance games journalist. She's written for Eurogamer, and she works for Future Friends, the PR. And I think because she's such a big video game fan, the structure of the book feels very video gamey. Each chapter sort of almost feels like a side quest in a game like Fallout.
Oh, wow.
And I would say it feels very Fallout-y in sort of the characters and the quirks and just the nature and the theme of it all. Good fun. Like one of those books that's just an easy read and is a good a good hang. So I would recommend Frontier by Grace Curtis, and I'm cheating by not recommending or making Alice's book my hyperfixation to make it a hyperfixation probably further down the line when I finish it. So yeah.
Incredible. Whenever you
novels.
recommend a book, I'm always scared that it's going to be something that's going to like crush my soul. And like some of the books you've recommended have been like really heavy, really good, heavy books.
Yes.
I'm like, oh God.
Right.
Another one for the list.
Exactly the
It's
same.
been a nice palate cleanser reading Frontier after Stoner, which genuinely
That's
made
the
me
one.
like think about death for about 2 weeks.
God.
Frontier did not make me question my own mortality and place on this planet. It's just a nice book about sci-fi shit, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Yes.
It sounds, really good, and probably, although I've enjoyed all your recommendations, more the sort of thing I can cope with right now. Like, oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
I totally get that.
I feel like my brains leak out my ears.
Yeah, I didn't intend to read those books knowing that they were, sad reflections on the purpose of humanity. But never mind, here we
Beautiful, but yeah.
But yeah, it's like
Heavy.
Very, very
It's-
heavy.
it's so good to know about them and like just know that they are there once my brain sludge gets back to the point where I can process things that aren't young adult fiction again. But that's
Yes.
kind of where I'm at. If it's not a young adult romance or a cozy murder mystery, I'm
You should
out.
recommend some of them because
for
The more
sure,
the merrier.
for sure. I at some point definitely will, but had to shout out Turnabout Breakdown though, because that's just been my life for the last couple of weeks basically.
Amazing. Wait, you have another podcast? Wait, and Liam, you mentioned another podcast. How dare you both? You should your only alliance should be to this podcast.
Don't even listen to other podcasts.
you know the sad Simon Parkin. It's just he's so intellectual. It's for research. I swear.
It was just research.
It meant nothing.
Oh god.
My Perfect Console's Twitter account liked one of the Indiscovery tweets I did. So
Ooh.
there we are. Maybe Simon Parkin is a friend of the podcast. He's definitely not a friend of the podcast.
Shout out to Simon. Big up.
Big up Simon
old-
Parkin.
Big up Simon,
an
yeah.
incredibly talented games writer. Are we done?
Yeah.
Maybe?
I feel.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think we're done.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I will see us home. Thank you so much for listening to Indiscovery. Your support is so appreciated. If you'd like to get in touch, and you can get in touch, we can read your emails now. I cut a small bit out of last week's episode where Rachel said, in shock, are we allowed, what did you say? You said something like, are we allowed to, sorry, Yolly just opened the door and stared at me and ran away there. It was weird. You said something like, are we allowed to admit that we never had access to that email address until episode 9? But I'm going to say it now because it made me laugh. Yes. We have access to that email. Please do email in podcast@rockpapershotgun.com. If you are Rebecca's parents, please send us an email.
Send that video
you
clip, guys, please.
Yes, send that video clip for attention of Rachel and Liam. That will
Yes.
make me laugh. You can also chat to like-minded individuals about the wonders of PC gaming over on our Discord server. Link is in the show notes. There was a lot of great chat last time about games that people have played. Everyone was giving their most played games they hadn't put enough hours in. So thank you for getting in touch. It was really good. Join the Discord. If you'd like to support the pod, right, this is what you need to do. You need to rate us. So whatever you're on, I don't care what platform you're on, if there's a way of rating it, can you just give us 5 stars, please? Because it really, really helps. The podcast is growing. It's growing at a good rate, but I think we can do better. If you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed this episode out of all the ones we've done,
Oh my
especially,
god, yes.
give us 5
Ew.
stars. Say why you like it. If you didn't like it, this is what you do, right? This is what you do. If you didn't like the podcast, just move on with your life. Just move on. Doesn't matter. We don't need to know. To be honest, it's not going to affect our life whatsoever. If you thought this was a 4-star podcast or below, where were you? You can also tell your friends about the good times you've shared with us here today. But as we all know, when you tell your friends to listen to a podcast, not really something that happens. For all your PC gaming needs, go to rockpapershotgun.com or find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and if you want to see one TikTok a month, follow us on TikTok. Until next time, it's goodbye from me, it's goodbye from Rachel,
Goodbye.
and it's goodbye from Rebecca.
Goodbye.